and welcome to the Fandom Show, the podcast where we learn about fantastic fandoms by talking to our favorites about their favorites. I'm Kaya Green.
And I am Stephanie Malik.
Yes, you certainly are. And today we are talking about the Warner Brothers and their sister, Dot. We are talking about the Animaniacs.
It's time for Animaniacs. And we're zany to the max. So just sit back and relax. We'll laugh till you collapse. We're Animaniacs.
There you go. I won't sing you remember every
I know
single
the entire. No, there's more, and I know it all.
Oh, I believe you.
But I can't memorize the one song.
I will get to that.
My white whale.
You are incredible with lyrics generally.
I am, but I've been forever thwarted by one song.
One single song, and it is in this show.
Just from
Animaniacs. Steph, what do you know about the
Manimaniacs?
What do you know about the Animaniacs?
Oh, Kaya. It all started back in the early 1990s. A young, impressionable Stephanie Malik was watching shows like Ren and Stimpy with her father, grew up watching things like Pee-wee's Playhouse. My dad actually worked for Warner Chappell, a subsidiary of Warner Brothers at the time.
Is that right?
When this brand new show came out called Animaniacs. I was obsessed with Animaniacs. Boy, did I ever have the Pog set of Animaniacs.
Wow, this is so of a time I can't even
This is the most 90s episode of this show.
I had the Pogs.
I had the Pogs. No, I know a lot about Animaniacs. I watched the whole original show. I haven't watched the reboot. I saw Animaniacs live in concert last year when I was in Toronto because I love this show. I think it's I don't want to get too much into what I know about it because obviously there's somebody who's going to talk about it. You just heard their voice a little bit. But yeah, I know a lot about this show. I've seen every episode multiple times. I know what the good ideas are. I know what the bad ideas are. I'm so excited to talk about this show. Kai, what do you know about the Animaniacs? Because you were an actual bebe.
I was
when this show came out.
An actual child. I watched it all throughout my youth.
Did you actually?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I watched it a ton when I was a kid.
I don't know.
But like, again, I was a kid. So my memory of it is like that hazy kid memory.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like huge impressions made by Animaniacs. It was like formative humor, I would say. I think I ended up getting into the Pinky and the Brain spinoff the most.
Okay. Yeah.
But the whole thing was wonderful and I always loved it. But I also, really loved Looney Tunes and it sort of falls into a very similar world.
Did you watch Tiny Toon Adventures?
I did. I remember less about that than the Animaniacs though.
It was less memorable.
I mean, I love Animaniacs. But I don't know a ton about it. So I hope we have someone who does know a ton about it.
Oh, Kaya. Get ready.
I'm ready.
Because our guest knows a lot about Animaniacs. Bryn Pottie is an author based out of rural Nova Scotia. He collects obscure VHS tapes and is hoping to make it through one more summer without having to buy new tires. Relatable content.
So relatable.
Hello, Bryn. How you doing?
Hey, guys. I'm great. I am really hoping that I can live up to the hype of knowing a lot about Animaniacs.
You will know more than me.
Based on what you said, I think that you probably know more about it than I do. So I look forward to being corrected about stuff.
No, that's not what it's about.
Here's the thing. You know about your experience with Animaniacs, and that's the only thing you need to be an expert in for our show.
Oh, well, great. Then you came to the right guy.
Yeah. Nobody knows more about you than you.
We hope. Bryn, let's pretend someone listening has never heard of Animaniacs. How would you explain it to them?
It's it's a cartoon show where they just kind of let people do whatever they wanted for a while. It's like a cartoon with no format. I would say when they say they're zany to the max, that is true. If it were any more zany, it wouldn't fly. But it would, just the absolute most formless sort of hey, whatever kind of cartoon that I think has ever existed, except maybe Freakazoid, the show that came out after. But that one was too much.
Yeah, that took zany and went to freak.
Yeah.
It
was the max.
Yeah.
I love that one too, but I can see in hindsight why Animaniacs was considerably more popular.
Okay, yeah. Explain why you think Animaniacs was so popular, because zany is the correct word for this show. This show is weird. The show is off the wall and bizarro.
I saw it referred to online as sort of a variety or sketch show, but in the animated format. And I was like, that's kind of brilliant. I had never really thought about it that way, but it does kind of make sense in that context.
Yeah, it's sketch, but it's also like, one sketch could be like 8 minutes. The next sketch could be like a minute and a half. And then it's like the rest of the episode is just whatever. Like why was it so popular? I think it caught on with kids. It's kind of like almost like a Mad Magazine or Simpsons kind of did the same thing, where it's like baby's first satire, where it's like they're making fun of stuff. They're not being like harsh about it. But it's like kind of the first thing where you're like, oh, like you can make fun of other shows like this. I kind of thought that show was dumb too. Like there's an outlet for this. I was like, and just down to like it makes kids feel smart, I think. Like the kind, like the dumb line at the beginning in the theme song of Bill Clinton plays the sax. I think as a kid it was just like, I know this guy from the news. The one thing I know about him is that he plays the saxophone. I'm smart for understanding what this means. I get this joke for grown-ups. It's like, I think and also there's just something in it for everybody, like there's a lot of like classic slapstick kind of cartoon violence, but then there's stuff for like theater kids, and then there's stuff for like science fiction ones, and like there's, like you say, with the variety format, there's something like for every kind of kid. Can sit down, and even if you don't like the whole show, there'll be a couple minutes that they're like, oh, I like that guy.
Yeah. How did you get into it? What's your origin story?
I mean, it was just one of those things where it was on TV, and it was just, like I say, it was like making fun of other stuff. It was rowdy. It was kind of loud, but it was also like educational enough that like my mom didn't object to it too much.
It felt a bit sneaky to watch it.
What's that?
It felt a bit sneaky where you're like, this is probably a bit too grown up for me.
This is a little more fun than it should be.
Yeah, you felt you were kind of getting away with something. Yeah. But also, like, I've got 3 younger siblings, and like we were kind of in the era before everybody had their own TV or whatever. So like to have a show that like 4 kids of different ages could sit and watch and all get something out of was kind of special.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. So you mentioned you're a big fan of animation. And this show in particular as a representation of the animation renaissance of the 1990s. Can you explain how this show be it? Like how did this show come to be, and how it fits into the overall picture of animation where it was at that time?
All right, I'm just gonna like spout off about this. So if you start to get bored, like just flick the lights on and off, and I'll
nothing about this stuff is boring. Honestly, it's all exciting.
I'm just going to spout off about this. Might as well be our catchphrase.
All right,
that is literally what we're here
Should we
for.
rename our show?
we're
spouting off.
Yeah, we're that conversation you have at a party where you have to tell somebody, yeah, like I'm gonna go.
Stop me. Yeah,
stop me.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. It's like you said at the beginning, like I do live in rural Nova Scotia. So just like to be able to talk about pop culture to somebody at all is like a very, very treasured thing for me. So to let me unfiltered kind of just go on about cartoons is just like, thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah. Right. So like Animaniacs, like you say, it's based on Looney Tunes in a way. They're designed to look like old characters, pretty much from like the late 50s until the mid 80s. Cartoons were kind of like nothing was going on with them. Like it was not really like a great art form anymore. You had like 101 Dalmatians, that Robin Hood movie, a couple of Don Bluths, but for the most part, and like Scooby-Doo, but like it was not great. And then somewhere in the mid 80s, I mean, the dark side of it is that the Reagan administration kind of cut the rules for like advertising to kids. That's why a lot of the shows in the 80s go from like Scooby-Doo to like a toy is the show. Just buy, and then they still had to have some educational content, so they would put in at the end like, don't narc on your parents if they leave you home alone.
The important stuff of the day.
Yeah, the message was, hey man, be cool about it.
Yeah, wear a seatbelt, stay out of the road, and
don't get into your parents' cocaine.
They need that to create children's shows.
So then that's when you get things like He-Man, I believe, was one of the first ones, and then Transformers. Where we want to sell this toy. What if we made a cartoon?
G.I. Joe.
And that goes on to this day. Like, I mean, the company that makes Paw Patrol is a toy company.
With
the production arm.
The term is toyetic. Shows that are toyetic. It's a term that most kids writers hate.
I'm sure they do. But back in those days, it was like, it wasn't even like, it was just straight up like, we need to sell this toy. Call up this guy who and you can tell like the shows are like stream of consciousness. Like no one asked why about any of this.
And if they did, someone went cocaine.
Exactly. That was the answer for a lot of it.
If they were asking why, they needed to do another line and move on.
Yes.
I got a rewrite for you right here.
White papers, baby.
Somewhere along the line, like I think it's like Roger Rabbit comes out. And Disney at this point is like really having a hard time. Like Disney is about to maybe be just a theme park company. Maybe they're just going to be Touchstone. Like they don't know that they're going to keep making cartoons. And then they kind of take a chance on Roger Rabbit because it's the same director as Back to the Future. They know it's going to be big. And it's huge. And that gives them enough clout to kind of finish what they're working on, which is Great Mouse Detective, which underrated entry. Ratigan is maybe the best Disney villain.
I strongly agree. I made Steph watch this for our bonus podcast. If anybody would like to go listen to that, because I like that movie so much.
Did you love the part where he like records a diss track and then presses it onto a record?
Yes. Who wouldn't like that part?
It's
so good.
And anyway, the Great Mouse Detective does fine enough that they're like, okay, you know what? We'll make Little Mermaid after all. And then they're kind of off to the races from there. And Warner Brothers, in the meantime, is kind of not sure what to do. But Steven Spielberg was a producer on Roger Rabbit. And he's like a big Hollywood cartoon fan. And he makes Tiny Toon Adventures with Warner Brothers Television. And this guy, Tom Brugger, who was brought on, he had worked on a bunch of just garbage toy commercials for a long time. And they basically, I read on the internet that or some interview with him where he explained the Tiny Toon Adventures kind of interview was like, look, your job is to make Steven Spielberg happy. We don't care how the show turns out. If he's happy, great. And then it turned out great. He got the job. The show was good. And then a couple seasons in, Spielberg calls him into a meeting to be like, okay, what's the next one? And he's like, and that's kind of where Animaniacs comes out of. He wants to do a variety show. He wants to do something different, something a bit crazy. And Spielberg wants to have like a marquee character attached to it, by which he means like Bugs Bunny or like a big name. But the Ruger sees the Warner Brothers tower and it's like, Warner Brothers, that's literally on the marquee. And he's like, what about the Warner Brothers? And then dot is the dot after WB.
Oh,
I
never put that together.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
so that's how it comes about, is he's just like, tricked you, Spielberg. Like, and he's like a good sport about it. And they go for it. And like, you know, at this time, I think Animaniacs comes out in 93. And that's the year that like Jurassic Park and Schindler's List both come out.
Huge year
So
for
like,
Spielberg.
so like he's like the most successful guy in Hollywood history. And also, like, I don't think he's taking time out of like editing Schindler's List to like read Animaniacs like outlines, you know. I think he's kind of pretty hands off in this process.
I think he barely took time off to do Jurassic Park. Like, I think he was doing that like at nights. That was his
exactly
job.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was pretty hands off with this, and you can tell that it's just like, that's why it's got that vibe of like whatever, man, like just like people just doing whatever they want. And apparently whenever like the network would be like, look, we don't know about this, they would say, well, Spielberg loves it. And nobody in Hollywood wants to get into a fight with Steven Spielberg about like
this weird
sketch on a kid's cartoon. Like, why am I gonna fight with him on this? So they just kind of literally were able to do whatever they wanted. And this is kind of what came out of it.
They're just using Spielberg's name as like a black card to just buy as much goodwill as they possibly can. That's brilliant.
It's right there in the title. Steven Spielberg Presents Animaniacs is like the full name.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I think that kind of
a character too on the show.
I think he's popped up a couple of times. He definitely, he's in the opening credits of Freakazoid. He hits him in the head with a mallet. But I think he's popped up on Animaniacs once or twice.
I feel like I'm unlocking core memories. I can see Spielberg's animated face in the front of my mind right now. And I'm like, wow, that was buried somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and also I think for parents too, like having Spielberg's name on it is kind of like, okay, like this is like the best that Hollywood's got. Like he's not gonna like
they never watched with us and they were like, it's good, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think that like that's a name you can trust. In 1993, like he's not perfect, but he's I feel like if Steven Spielberg's putting his name right front and center, you can kind of be like, well, no one's going to be like, it's not going to be drawings of dicks or whatever it's going to be.
No, that's before Bill Clinton was just a sax player at that time.
Only blowing on the sax at that point.
And that's the type of humor you can find in Animaniacs.
It's true.
It's such a dirty show. It's such a dirty show.
It for sure is before the standards and practices era. Like it snuck in just before that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I rewatched it like this past week, kind of getting ready for this again to make sure that I wasn't like endorsing something that I didn't want to be. But there's one with like Slappy Squirrel where like Siskel and Ebert say like Slappy Squirrel isn't funny. And like in a new show, the plot of this would be Slappy Squirrel convinces them that she is funny and then they all get along. But in this one, it's just, I am going to severely injure them for the next 6.5 minutes until they are dead. and that's it.
You know, it's just what kids want. Kids are fed up with these reviewers.
Yeah.
Someone's got to hold them to task.
That's right. They're going too hard on these popular movies. That's so funny and it's so inside and so weird.
Well, this show feels so inside. Like I felt like I was getting a peek behind the curtain of like old Hollywood when you're watching the show. Are there any other do you remember noticing or in your rewatch even any of those sort of like nods to Hollywood from an insider baseball sort of perspective?
Well, one, like it's not like too inside, I guess, but like the fact that there's a recurring sketch of the pigeons are like the Goodfellas characters.
Good feathers.
It's like Yeah, like you can kind of get away with that once, maybe, but this is like a regular, like all of the time. And like, what kid is like, yeah, that pigeon does sound like Ray Liotta. Like, you're not, like, no child is like allowed in the theater to see this movie. That would have
Nobody
just come
gets that
out.
reference, and then you turn like 16, and you're like, wait, what the fuck?
What the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
You watch Goodfellas for the first time, you're like, that's what that was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's priming you for the Simpsons experience of then learning everything about culture that you've ever learned strictly from watching the Simpsons.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like that was the kind of like nerd that I was. Like I had that Simpsons book, like the episode guide or whatever, and it would be like, in this episode, like Marge kisses Homer on the beach, and it's a reference to From Here to Eternity. And I'd be like, well, I guess I need to learn what From Here to Eternity is.
Yep.
Like, there's so many, like, yeah, Animaniacs kind of feeds into that, where there's like references to things that are just like, there's no way any kids or most adults at that time, like no one's watching Pinky and the Brain to be like, oh, this is like a Third Man parody, because Brain is based on Orson Welles. So therefore this like noir movie from the mid 40s is something that like we can build a whole episode around.
People are hungry for Third Man content.
Yeah.
The children, they yearn for it.
These kids are up watching Turner Classic Movies all night.
Right. They need their daily dose of Orson. That's so funny.
Okay, I have to ask a question, because these character designs for the Warner siblings, what are they? Like, I think they're supposed to be dogs, but like, you touched a tiny bit on the design. What's with the design of these Animaniacs?
I looked into it, and they were originally going to be ducks, and they were like, nah, we've seen this.
We've seen some ducks.
Yeah. I think that like the idea was just that they're like, they look kind of like generic old. I think they found some like Warner Brothers cartoon, one of the like pre Bugs Bunny. There was a kind of an era before Bugs Bunny and Warner Brothers cartoons where like Mickey Mouse was just eating their friggin' lunch, and they like needed some kind of a mascot character. And so and Mickey Mouse is like, the beauty of it is like, it's so easy to draw. It's just like a mouse made out of circles.
Yep.
And he's got gloves on because hands are hard.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, there's so many like crappy knockoffs of that. And the Warner Brothers and Dot are just based on these old. In fact, they look so much like Mickey Mouse. I read about this too, that they put this big Yakko on top of the water tower, like to promote the show before it came out. And the head of the Warner Brothers studio had no idea what it was, because like they're making friggin' blockbuster. Like, he doesn't care about what's going on in the game.
Not even remotely.
He thought that it was Mickey Mouse, and that Michael Eisner at Disney had like pranked him by putting a big Mickey Mouse on the tower, and apparently called like the CEO of Disney to be like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is not funny. And then it had to be explained to him, like, no, this is our character. And then and he's like, well, it looks so much like a Mickey Mouse, you got to change it. And then they showed him the actual drawings, and he was like, all right, I guess it looks different enough.
Yeah, they're like, we know, shut up about it.
Yeah.
Be cool, man.
Idiot.
Don't bust us.
So funny and embarrassing to not know the character that is being made in your own studio.
Oh my God.
I love that so
named
much.
after your studio.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Because I'm sure he was just doing it as a favor for Steven Spielberg, so that Spielberg would do him a favor at some point.
Yeah. He's
probably
whatever paying attention.
Oh yeah.
Like, Warner, whatever. Good.
But that's the beauty of it. And I feel like that's why the reboot didn't really work. I feel like the reboot people were paying attention to, and like the Animaniacs is one of those things that only works if like no one's paying attention.
Yeah, it only works in 1993 when parents are real loose about their parenting.
Yeah, there's no adults in the room.
No.
Yeah, exactly. At any level, nobody is thinking like, should we do this? Like, is this is this good?
It is funny how many great things in pop culture came about because no one gave a shit about them, so they didn't get in the way.
Everyone,
Yeah.
let creators create.
Let them cook.
Let them cook.
Yeah. Okay. So then, let's talk about the three main characters. Can you describe for those that have not ever watched Animaniacs, who are these Warner Brothers and their sister Dot?
Okay. They're like somewhat generic looking old cartoon characters. Yakko is essentially Groucho Marx, with like kind of a high voice. Wacko is a like shitty Beatles voice that anyone can do, and his thing is like that he's kind of like the innocent, like the pure childlike non sequitur guy. And then Dot is kind of like pretty much like a counterpoint to Yakko. I feel like the two of them kind of go back and forth. Her thing and like was supposedly that she was cute at the beginning, but they kind of ditched that like right away. And she's just another kind of crazy. That's what's interesting about these characters is like their characterizations are so strong that they can put them in any situation. Like they're a cowboy in this episode, and then they're in space in this one, and then in this one they're just like at the studio, and they're like they're hypnotist. Like they can be doing any job at any time period and you still get who they are.
Yeah.
And yet they don't really have any like inner wants or needs, or like there's no like lore behind like what is driving Wacko? Like, why is he burping like this?
They just want to be like, it seems like they just want to have fun and be gentle trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's similar to the old Bugs Bunnies where I think they're maybe a bit harsher than Bugs Bunny in a way. I feel like Bugs Bunny, like he would have to get pushed like a couple of times. Like the opera singer has to be like, get out of here, like a couple of times. And then he's like, all right, I guess I'm just going to ruin your life for the rest of it. That's it.
Yeah.
Or Elmer Fudd has to shoot at him. He doesn't shoot first, but I feel like the Warners can just walk into any situation and they're like, I'm just going to ruin this guy's day. Like,
yeah, just because I woke up that way.
They're just pure agents of chaos, I think, which is, and there's nothing behind it. I think if there was ever a motivation behind it, it would ruin it. It would just be like, because they're doing it to be mean. They're doing it. They can't help it. They just are like Jessica Rabbit. They're just drawn that way.
Absolutely. I feel like you can really see that spiritual successor of the Looney Tunes in there, and that, they're almost like commedia dell'arte archetypes more than they are actually like characters in the way we know them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They're like clown archetypes in a way.
Yeah, exactly. They you can throw them into anything and you're gonna get the same thing every time. Yeah. And they sing and they do the big any wacky cartoon thing, they're gonna do it. And they've got like some educational stuff, but then they're also like sarcastic about it. Like it's that perfect like, again, like the times of like in the early 90s is like the beginning of that grunge kind of like cynicism, but it's not it's not quite at the Family Guy level yet where it's like just references, just cynicism. It's like they're nice sometimes, but it's a very cynical show as well.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that the music and the education. So the music of Animaniacs, because this in that variety show style has a lot of musical numbers. Can you talk a bit about any of the musical numbers? Like what part they play in this show?
I wasn't as big a fan of the musical parts as I was kind of in it for the bad stuff. I was in it for the like getting blown up and people getting hit with big hammers and things. But the music, like, because there were like different characters. There was like Rita and Runt were the two, like Bernadette Peters played a cat that was like
literally Bernadette Peters.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm brand new to this information.
The whole thing was just like Bernadette Peters is gonna just sing as a cat. Like I think that one was probably just like whatever she wants to do.
What's Bernie feeling today? Let her
Like,
let her
oh,
cook.
I don't know, a cat. Like, that's it. She's a cat now.
She's a cat.
Incredible.
There's not much to that one, but like I think the people really remember the like educational music. There's like the Gilbert and Sullivan episode. There's the presidents, and then the nations of the world is like the one I think that really sticks with people because it's just such an impressive. Have you tried to memorize it?
I've been trying since 1993 to memorize this freaking song. That's part of why I went to Animaniacs in concert, because I was like, I want to watch Rob Paulson sing this.
Did he do it?
He did. I'm sure he does it daily. I'm sure that every time someone sees him, it's like, oh, great, you're Pinky. And also sing the nations of the world. They've updated it as well.
Oh my God. How many are different now?
I couldn't tell you.
No, you have to.
No.
Do it.
I can only sing the first 2 verses. It's fine.
But you can't.
Where do you
sing
get
the
tripped
first 2
up?
verses.
I get tripped up once we leave Europe.
Okay, it's the.
If I have the lyrics, I can sing it along in the pacing if the lyrics are in front of me, but it's so hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
But there's also there's a great big universe, which is it's about the solar system. There's such great, and it's a way for kids to learn that content and have it stick with them. I am not, Kaya knows this very well. I'm really bad at remembering things, but if you put it to music, that information is there forever.
Truly,
I can
never
sing
forget
lyrics from things that I found out about when I was 5. That being said, this song will never, I can't do it.
You can do an impressive amount of it.
You say that.
There was a part where we were preparing for this episode where Steph pitched, "What if we all tried to sing it?" And I said, "No."
I
said,
all right, like United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru.
This is good.
Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, too. I'm not gonna do the whole thing.
I didn't feel confident about the first line. I was like, I think I'm pretty sure that we're in there.
Yeah. The music of this show, I think for me as a musical kid and a kid who grew up around a lot of music, I thought it was just so impressive that they managed to still make it funny and quirky and weird and educational while also having a beautiful score. In the way that so much classic Looney Tunes does.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, there's clearly like a lot of like money and like care behind it. Like there's a full orchestral score in every episode of this thing.
Yes.
And like the animation is good. Like it looks like if you watch the original one and the new one looks cheap compared to the original. Like
wow.
Which of course it does, but like,
yeah,
man, no, again, Steven Spielberg having his name on it. I'm sure he was like, yeah, I don't want this to look like shit. Like, come on.
Is his name on the reboot?
I believe so, but I think it's like, obviously his name doesn't carry the same weight anymore.
Yeah.
Not since
like
War
it did in
Horse.
1990. Not since what?
War Horse. I don't even know if that one was bad. It was just one that came to mind.
No, it's
when the wheels kind of started to fall off.
I don't think it's good. I feel like there's some in later years where you're like, Spielberg, eh?
Yeah, that was
Oh, Ready Player One. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one's just I don't know what they were like. That one was a real.
I don't know what they were doing.
Like, yeah, because it's like you can't we know that you don't care about 80s pop culture. Like you care about 50s pop culture. We know this.
Yeah.
We know this from all the 80s pop culture that you've made.
Yeah, you created 80s pop culture.
Yeah, you don't have a nostalgic view of this. Get out of here.
Yeah, come on.
So we talked a bit about how this is structured like a variety show. Can you talk through what are some of the recurring segments?
Yeah, there's Pinky and the Brain is the biggest one, obviously.
Yeah,
got its own spin-off. I think that one is maybe just as famous as Animaniacs. I think they've got they catch the what do you want to do tonight? Like same thing we do every night. Try to take over I feel like that's like a catchphrase that everyone knows.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do the Animaniacs themselves have a catchphrase that's comparable to that?
Hello, nurse.
And that was the one aspect of it, honestly, where I was like, you know what, I feel like that doesn't really hold up.
Yeah, that one was a bit icky.
You want to know
sexy nurse?
You want to know where it came from, though?
Jessica Rabbit?
Please.
No. There's actually a reason behind why it was hello nurse. What's Bugs Bunny's catchphrase?
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc?
Oh!
It's just the opposite of what's
Kaya.
up, Doc. Yeah.
You know what? I like it now. Bring that sexy nurse back.
I'm back on board.
I mean, the fact that they then put, if I recall this correctly, a sexy nurse in there at points was more weird. But
Yeah. It was often a sexy nurse in there.
Yeah, okay. I'm working with child memories. I don't know if I'm making that up.
No, Yakko and Wacko were in love with her.
Yeah, and you know, upon rewatch, I would say that it kind of makes sense that Yakko does. Like, I get it. It's the horny cartoon is kind of a fun old cartoon trope from a day when it was like illegal to have any kind of sexual content in a movie, that people would be so excited by seeing a wolf cartoon get really horny. I get why people would like that back then.
And their tongue goes all the way out and their eyes. That's the whole thing.
And hey, who among us hasn't seen a sexy lady walk by and had that reaction?
Yeah. Who among us is not a woman?
Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
We've all hit ourselves over the head with the shoe or whatever. But I get it with Yakko, but like Wacko is like a childlike character. I feel like it's kind of out of character for him.
Yeah, he's
if
like
I could note Animaniacs, I would say it's inconsistent with Wacko's character. But anyways, you're right. Hello, nurse is there. It's too bad that catchphrase is associated with the anyway.
Yeah.
So you get Pinky and the Brain back on track. They were huge. Slappy Squirrel is another one that is probably my favorite. And then you get like Rita and Runt, which I would say is least favorite. Buttons and Mindy, which is like another dog and a baby this time.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I remember them.
She keeps trying to basically kill herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dog keeps stopping her.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, dark. I love it.
And then the Good Feathers, the pigeons based on the movie.
It was my favorite. That was my favorite.
Was it?
It really was. I don't know why.
I can't believe how many.
Can we unpack it a little bit? Like what?
They were like,
I would have thought that because they don't sing like.
No, man, but there's something real cool and sexy about those birds. You know what I mean?
Sorry,
their attitudes, not physically or visually, but like you got your Joe Pesci one, you got your little Joe Pesci guy,
sexy.
You got your Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
No, Ray Liotta was,
sexy.
But they were cool guys. You know, they're just keeping it on the streets.
They were pretty cool, and I think as a kid, it's always fun to watch a character who just gets uncontrollably angry.
Yeah, man.
Like I think that there's something really exciting about that.
We love hothead.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Anyways, they were dynamic.
I also wonder if you liked them a lot because you grew up with a single dad who definitely watched movies like Goodfellas.
I don't think he watched. I don't. Did he? I'll have to ask.
This is my pitch as a theory.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised
if you're like, those are familiar voices to me. I feel comforted by them for some reason.
Also, didn't my cousin Vinny come out before that?
Maybe.
So I feel like I would have known
right
Joe Pesci's
then,
voice. Yeah, so I would have had like.
Yeah,
so he would have been a voice that I would have been familiar with it out of context of those characters.
So what you're saying is my theory holds up.
You talking to me? Are you talking to me?
Completely different.
Are you squawking to me? Anyways, cool guys.
Pesci in like 1990 had the same kind of year as Spielberg had in 93, where he had Goodfellas, Home Alone, like I think same year, and then My Cousin Vinny like almost right after that. Like he was on top of the world.
Casino was not long after that, I think. Was he in Casino?
Yeah, he was. Big time. Yeah, he gets his friggin' head crushed in a vice in Casino.
Yeah, it was Pesci's world, and we were just living in it.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. I wish I still lived in Pesci's world.
We all do. Okay, so any other recurring segments?
Well, there was the Good Idea, Bad Idea, which as a kid was one of those ones where you could just like just like that was, I remember one that like kids would like describe to each other a lot.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like that was a
totally.
real quotable kind of, and then
That
Chicken
Bones
Boo
guy was
was
so
another
cool.
one. What's that one?
The bony
the
skeleton guy. We loved him.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Kept
nothing
getting
to
messed
him.
up. There's nothing to him.
Yeah.
He never spoke the way we like a man.
Mhm.
No offense.
The chicken one was another big favorite for like, again, like kids would just in my playground would just describe to each other, even though it was the same joke every time, where this chicken would just,
I just
didn't
remembered.
barely wore a disguise, and they're like, this is the greatest ballerina in New York, and then it's just this big chicken in like a leotards, and someone's like, hey, what about the rumors that you're actually a giant chicken? And people get really indignant on his behalf and be like, no, that could never happen. And then he would be revealed to be a big chicken and then have to walk away, and like that was it every time. But my god, it worked.
That's a solid
This
bit.
is honestly,
So funny. I forgot about Chicken Boo.
I've
Yeah.
learned so much about where my own sense of humor came from as you
Yeah.
described things, because I still think that's incredibly
That's
funny.
so funny.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh Lord,
So dumb.
Lord.
Kaya, which one
Okay.
was your favorite?
You know what? I had forgotten about so many of them until we came to like research for this episode. So good idea, bad idea. I think I did very much enjoy, but I think Piggy in the Brain was the big one that I really enjoyed. And anything with the three siblings, I always liked whenever they came back. I just really enjoyed them as characters.
Who were both of your favorites of the three siblings?
Yakko.
Okay.
Yeah.
You too?
Wacko for me.
I was a wacko girly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That backwards cap. He was so cool.
Yeah.
I really based a lot of my personal style on.
Oh my God, that's true.
Just giant blue shirt.
Yep, that's just me. No, it was his shirt was very reminiscent of the Chipmunks to me. And I was really like the Chipmunks had their renaissance in like the 80s. They like came back and were cool again.
Buddy. Oh, I ordered recently. I ordered a red sweater with a big yellow A on it.
Incredible.
And I wear that around town, and only once or twice has anybody been like, oh, that's Alvin, right?
Oh, fools.
Incredible.
Fools.
Do you ever get people thinking it's Archie? An Archie reference?
No, people are always just like they assume that my name starts with A, or
yes.
like
Yeah.
some kind of an A school or something.
Right. Yeah. I keep this here so I remember how to start my name.
Yeah. That's what Alvin did.
That's
Unless
true.
it was like a scarlet letter for a doctor.
I mean, if any of the Chipmunks were to get a scarlet letter, it would be Alvin.
Alvin. Yeah.
Alvin.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
And
we love our
before we move on from this tangent.
Yep.
Have you guys listened to the slowed down Alvin and the Chipmunks records, where they slow the music down so that their voices are normal, but the background music is really slow?
Weird.
No. Should we?
Check out the Betty Davis Eyes one. Yes.
Oh my.
It's a haunting version of Betty Davis Eyes.
I want this so much.
I recently did see an Alvin and the Chipmunks clip. This is just Alvin and the Chipmunks show, where there's an episode where Dave gets a girlfriend and he starts going out a lot and comes home plastered. And the kids are like,
What?
you can't go out with her anymore. You keep coming home late from the disco. So good.
That's sort of reminiscent of those old like Flintstones cartoons where they're like, nothing is good. Nothing is as good when I come home at the end of the day as this carton of cigarettes. And you're like, oh boy, this is weird.
Oh goodness. All right. Side note. We're talking Pinky in the Brain.
Yeah.
Why did that get the spinoff? Can you explain the origins of how that became its own thing?
I did not get enough deep into the research on that one. I'm going to just pitch what I think happened.
I love it.
This would be my guess. They were like, these characters are really popular, and also this is a format that we can like. That one is kind of the opposite of Animaniacs, where like Animaniacs has got no format.
Yeah.
And Pinky and the Brain is like, they always have the same goal. It's a very replicable format. how many ideas, like, as to write one, you just have to be like, what's my idea to take over the world?
Yeah, right. And how does it fall apart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic tall, skinny guy with a short, squat guy vibes. It's a classic combo.
About it works.
Yeah.
And just the Orson Welles voice as well, like just so good, just so like he's just menacing. And again, I think as a kid, when do you get to root for the bad guy? Like, we do it all the time now in our real lives, but like as a kid on TV, you didn't get to root for the bad guy very often.
Kai, you had a Pinky in the Brain question not that long ago. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, my fan theory.
What do you want to do tonight?
I keep asking her, and she keeps saying the same thing. No, I had what turns out to be a large fan theory, which is that the brain is in fact, when it says one is a genius, the other is insane in the lyrics to the theme song, that it is in fact Pinky who is the genius and the brain who is insane. Now, there's some logic to it, because the way the song goes is it's the Pinky and the brain. One is a genius, the other's insane, which kind of implies that it's Pinky who's a genius. But I recently discovered on an AMA with the creator that is wrong.
Oh, so
that's just people inferring into it. That wasn't intended. You could still read it that way.
The definition of insanity
is trying the same thing over and over again with the same result,
expecting a different result.
Yeah. So while it has been debunked by the creator, I still like it as a headcanon.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I like that too. Do you have a particular plot to take over the world that you remember really liking?
I remember one where the brain ends up in a like giant mech suit of a human.
That was what I was gonna say.
But it's just a tiny little mouse head, and I love it so much. That's a formative memory.
It also reminds me of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Krang.
Oh yeah,
which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rob Paulsen also voiced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Truly incredible.
Do you have like it would be challenging to like come up with a show that Rob Paulsen did not do?
It's true. He and who voiced Wacko? It was Jess. I can't remember his last name. Because isn't he the guy who does the voice of Bender?
Oh, really? Oh,
Joe DiMaggio, or not Joe DiMaggio.
Joe DiMaggio.
John DiMaggio. Joe
DiMaggio. Oh no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
All characters.
Yeah.
Did you look it up?
No, I just know I'm wrong.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God. Did you watch the reboot?
I did. I watched it when it first came out. It came out like I actually it came out during COVID, and I was actually I was visiting my parents when COVID started. And then that visit just kind of lasted for many years. But when it came out, I remember, my dad subscribed to whatever the channel was that it was going to be on, because he was like, wouldn't it be fun if we watched the new Animaniacs? And then we did, and it was just kind of like, that was fine. Let's watch baseball. Like, this is it
didn't quite land for you.
Yeah, well, like I get it was cute, it was fun, it was a fun idea, but it's just the magic was gone. I think it was just truly because like people cared about what they were doing, or like they just like it had to be. I don't know, like they were trying to make Animaniacs, you know what I mean? Whereas the first one, they were just making whatever they wanted, and Animaniacs is what came out.
Yeah, it's tough. It almost feels like those generations of The Simpsons, where the Simpsons writers are trying to write The Simpsons, but because they're too aware that they're trying to write The Simpsons, they don't quite write The Simpsons.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
It's when the generation that grew up on The Simpsons is trying to recreate a voice that is their only voice now because they grew up watching The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a bit of a snake eating its own tail. Yeah.
What would have been a good Animaniacs character?
An Ouroboros?
Yeah.
Honestly, anything goes. Would have worked.
So, with Animaniacs was such a big sensation for Warner Brothers. What was sort of the fallout after this show happened? Obviously, Pinky and the Brain went on to continue, but did it open any doors for anything in the future for Warner Brothers? Because they're not really known for their animation stuff now.
Yeah, but in terms of that sort of animation renaissance, was it a big catalyst for
Well,
that?
they like. I mean, again, I would be talking about my own butt if I
Talk out
claimed
your
to
own
know what
butt.
happened. If I claimed to know what the like result of Animaniacs was. I know it was like, again, because of like that was such a big hit. There were so many like big hit shows. That one, like Simpsons, Ren and Stimpy, like Rugrats, like Nickelodeon, like again Nickelodeon, Disney Channel. Like suddenly you've got all these like they just needed to have more cartoons made at that time.
Yeah.
And some of them were really hitting. And like Warner Brothers, like, I mean, after this, they would have done Freakazoid, which kind of tanked, but like is very close to my heart. They did that Batman animated series.
Which
They
is
did.
incredible.
Yeah, an absolute
Yeah, that's
classic.
huge. Yeah. And then they kind of were doing stuff like that. But you're right. Like their animation department is kind of, they keep almost doing it, but like not quite doing it anymore. Although, did you guys see the Porky Pig and Daffy Duck movie that came out this year?
No.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, you didn't hear about that? I saw it in the theater. Like, yeah,
What? Did you say-
it's called The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's a
How did we
it's
miss
a like it was almost like specifically written for me, but it's like it's a 50s sci-fi parody movie starring Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, and there's no other Looney Tunes characters in it. There's no like live action basketball. There's like it's just straight up like a Porky and Daffy story about an alien invasion, and it's based on like 50s sci-fi kind of stuff. And the same guy does both voices. There's no celebrities in there. It's something.
Was it? It was a theatrical release.
It was. I saw it in theaters. Yeah.
What?
And
That-
in the year 2025.
That sounds like something that just simply couldn't exist today. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah,
Like-
it was very. It's very much like for stoners only, I would say.
Right? Yeah,
Like,
that makes sense. That
I was
makes a
gonna
lot of
say, is
sense.
this for kids? Like, are kids expected to be like, I can't watch that Porky Pig movie?
Yeah, I was thinking, who's the market? But now, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the market.
yeah.
That's the market.
Yeah, it was a real. I would say it'll be a stoner cult classic for sure. As somebody
Totally.
who saw that well stoned, I said to
Yeah.
myself,
Excuse me,
"This
I'm
is a
just putting an
classic."
agenda
Yeah.
item for myself.
That's the same demographic they are making all those different versions of Cinnamon Toast Crunch for. just
And bless them. Bless them for
They-
their service.
they know.
They know who this is for. It ain't for kiddies no
Yeah,
more.
we're absolutely not. Okay, last but not least, what is the nerdiest thing you've done in relation to this fandom? No wrong answers.
Whoa. I mean, like, it's tough because this is a tough one because it's not like there's like a lot of conventions and stuff for it, right? It's not like the kind of
Yeah.
like I mean, you've beaten me by going to the concert by like a country mile. Like I have the Freakazoid DVD and like and I bought that Alvin and the Chipmunk sweater. I've done it for different cartoons, but not this one.
Well, there's not a lot of merch floating around.
Yeah,
to be fair.
it wasn't a very merch heavy thing. Like I think
No.
Pinky and the Brain probably had dolls, and maybe there were dolls of like the Warner siblings, but
Yeah.
I don't feel
I
like
feel like there was probably like a Burger King or McDonald's toy tie-in, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like a big thing.
I
Yeah.
need some Good Feathers merch.
Oh,
Get me
hell
those
yeah.
3 pigeons.
Oh, I bet on like
They're
on
just pigeons.
Redbubble for sure.
Oh, definitely.
I
Ugh.
think what makes it hard to have like a real fandom about this show too is that there is absolutely no lore or canon of it whatsoever. It's just like you can't argue about like you can't talk about anything about the backstory. There's no Animaniacs extended universe. Like it's just like it exists for those 8 minutes and then those characters completely reset themselves.
Right.
Never to reference what just happened ever again.
So the Reddit isn't popping off with different.
Look, I need a wheel of morality. Where's my wheel of morality?
Oh, that wheel of morality is so good. Like that's another one of those just like pure cynicism, but like just like for kids though. It just teaches kids to be like, hey, think about this. Like
Yeah.
these stupid morals that these other shows are just shoehorning in there. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Like think critically a little bit. It's that to me was the more than learning the countries of the world. I would say think critically about the media you're consuming is the lesson I learned.
Yeah. Question what the
I'll
grown-ups
say-
are telling you.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for what the nerdiest thing is. I guess, although probably I'm sure that it's like I watched The Third Man. Like I went out of my way to find out like what these weird references were, and I took in whatever they were.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that's pretty nerdy.
I feel like after this episode, I'm gonna go home and be like, what were all the cultural references in Animaniacs? Because as a kid, most of them would have gone over my head. But I know now I'm gonna go back and be like, what the fuck were they talking about?
Yeah, I'm Googling
There's like a
cartoon Spielberg
full-
for sure.
It's like a full Apocalypse Now episode. There's like,
Of course there is.
Of course there is.
This writer's room must have just been so ridiculous to be part of. 'Cause
Yeah.
anything goes.
Yeah.
just this is like imagine your life is like it's like 1991. You're like at the Groundlings Theater as like a sketch improviser. Your friend comes up to you and says, "Hey, Steven Spielberg is putting together an animated series. Do you want to write for it?" Sure. What's it about? Whatever you want. Like that's
What are the characters? Whatever you can think of.
That's it.
what movies have you seen recently?
That's it. Goodfellas? Okay, that'll work.
There you go. We got some characters.
We can work with that.
Oh my
Oh.
goodness gracious.
Well,
Okay.
I suppose one last thing that we like to ask is, do you have a hot take about Animaniacs?
Something that the people need to know.
I mean, my hot take is really just that the cartoon violence is better than the educational content.
You heard it here first. Violence over knowledge. Every
Violence
time.
over knowledge. Violence over knowledge. Okay, I have a mini game for you. We do this one a lot, which is I'm going to give you a character. You give me 3 words to describe that character. But
All right.
because this is a fun cartoon and it's just fun to play, give me your best impression of that character's voice as you say the words.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm a voice actor and I couldn't do most of these.
Okay. And I'm a
Have your
guy
best-
who lives in the woods in Nova Scotia. So
I love it. I love it.
Take your best shot at it.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the main ones. Yakko.
God. And I gotta say 3 words about him.
3 words to describe Yakko.
Up to 3
Oh
words.
my-
It could be 1 if you
Yeah.
want. This is a tall order.
It is a tall order.
Ugh. I'm about to bail on this bit. Like I started to go, like it's like I've got nothing. I can do.
Bail
like,
on it immediately. We're losing the
like,
voices.
We're losing the
I
voices.
do not have it in me.
I couldn't even do it if I
Wacko,
tried.
Wacko is just a shitty
Ringo
Beatles
Starr,
impression,
yeah.
so I can do that. Yeah.
Okay, give me 3
Wacko-
words to describe
Wacko.
Yakko.
Yakko is okay. 3 words. Pants. Comments. Fast.
Incredible.
Yeah, pants, honestly, accurate. That's dead accurate. That's the
That's
first
accurate.
thing I think of.
He wears khakis. We love
Pants.
it.
Yep.
Wacko.
Burping. Loud. Rude.
Dot.
Fun. Cute. Witty.
Okay, Pinky.
Neurodivergent. Narf, obviously, and
Yeah.
sidekick.
Yeah, yeah,
The-
perfect.
The brain.
Evil, determined. Tenacious.
Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Slappy Squirrel.
Classic, best, hilarious. I love
Skippy
Slappy
Squirrel.
Skippy, annoying, not as good, superfluous.
Okay, Dr. Otto von Scratch and Sniff.
Peter Sellers. That character, there was like no, just foil, I guess you would say, or
yeah.
straight man.
That poor man.
Yeah.
The good feathers.
Oh, classic. Mobster. Crime.
Rita.
Singing. Me going to the bathroom during those segments.
I mean, fair. I love Burn It as an adult, but that was not a quality
Yeah.
segment.
Yeah. Buttons.
Oh, dog. Unmemorable. There.
That poor dog.
Yeah.
All right, Mindy.
Baby. Danger. Like Roger Rabbit, essentially.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just added this one because I forgot about him until today. Chicken Boo.
Versatile.
Yes.
Not a chicken. That's what I should have said.
Yep. That is a Renaissance foul right there.
Any characters that we need to mention and shout out last minute?
I think we really covered it. I've talked more about Animaniacs today than maybe I have since I was in school, and
Yes.
I'm happy that I got to. Yeah, I'm happy that we picked this one.
Yes, that's excellent.
Well, at the end of every episode, we want to share our micro fandoms of the week, which we're going to do in just a minute. But before we do, here are some ways you can connect with us. The show is always going to be free, but you can show your support in many different ways. One of them being the money way. Head on over to patreon.com/The Fandom Show, where for just a little bit of that money stuff, you can get episodes early and ad free. You can get access to our Nerds letter, which is extra stuff that we didn't get to cover on the episode, and some stuff we did. You can also listen to our exclusive patron podcast, The Fan Club, where we watch movies that one of us loves and the other has never seen. You can also
You go.
same time.
Oh.
You can find us on terrible. You can find us on social media at Fandom Show Pod or at our website, thefandomshow.com. We also are on YouTube. So head on over to YouTube and subscribe so that they have to pay us money.
Yeah, make them. We also have some merch. If you want to get any exclusive Fandom Show merch, you can head to thefandomshow.dashery.com. Also, please tell all of your nerdiest friends about us, or in lieu of that, your regular friends.
Or your doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know, a teacher.
That's right. Tell everyone. Every single
go to the
person you
gym
meet.
and be like, listen to this.
That's right. I challenge you to be that person and listen to us out loud on the subway. Actually, do not do that.
Oh my God, I'd be so embarrassed.
We want more and more people to hear our podcast because they may discover their next fandom. We want to make sure that everybody has that access to things they may love. We're a little difficult to find sometimes because our subject matter is literally everything. So if you want to help people find this podcast, which means we'll have more listeners, which means we can make more episodes, which means good things happen in the world, then you can do a little rate, review, and subscribe. That is enormously helpful to us because it helps make sure we move up in the charts and we show up in searches and people can find us. So if you can help us out, it'll take a couple seconds to just rate, review, and subscribe. It means the world to us, and we read every single one of them with a tear in our eye.
Yum, 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 yum.
That's right. And you can also, if you would like to chat with us a little bit, find us on the From Superheroes Discord where you can meet other fans or hit us up directly.
You can do that.
You can.
Kaya,
Yep.
We're doing micro fandoms. What's yours?
My micro fandom right now is I am reading a bunch of classic sci-fi. It's been really, really fun. But among that classic sci-fi, I just recently read a collection of short stories by N.K. Jemisin called When Will It Be Black Futures Month? And I've read some of N.K. Jemisin's work before, really like her work. She builds really incredible worlds, but this actually might have been one of my favorite things I've ever read from her because you can tell she's using the short story, and she talks about this in the foreword, using the short story medium to sort of explore a lot of different ideas and concepts and worlds that then kind of show up in her books. And it was just so cool to watch the not development, because I don't think they're in any particular order, but watch this brilliant sci-fi and fantasy mind working out a bunch of little seeds of ideas in short stories.
Cool.
I enjoyed it so much.
Very cool.
Yeah. What about you, Steph?
Well, mine is this weekend we went to a farm and it was lovely. And one of the things I learned about on this farm is an app called Merlin Bird ID. And this app, what you do is you just press record and it geolocates where you are and cross-references it with birds that are around that area, and then cross-references that with bird song. And then it tells you which birds there are. And since getting this app, I recorded so much just like ambient noise to try to find out what birds are around me. And every time I find out a new one, I get so excited.
Believe that.
I was waiting outside of pickleball one day and I was just looking up and it told me what birds there were above me. And then I saw those birds and I was like, that's what they sound like. That's delightful.
Huge.
So it's been great. It's given me a lot of joy. So if you're ever interested in, you're walking around, you're like, what is that bird that keeps squawking? You can find out.
Absolutely.
Merlin Bird ID.
You're going to be so prepped when we one day do a birding episode, which will happen.
Oh my God. Are you a birder? Call us. Don't call us. You can't get our phone number.
Yeah, that's not how you should
send us a message on the internet because we want to talk to you about birds.
We will be doing a birding
I
episode.
want to know about birds.
Anyway,
that's it. Bryn, what are you nerding out about right now? What are you loving?
Season 2 of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Oh my God, I just started that
Disney.
show. I'm on episode 6,
good.
season 1.
I absolutely love it. It's like so it's similar to the kind of trashy TV that I grew up with, where there's some real darkness to it.
Yep.
They are really in very bad relationships, and just like it gets bad. It's not cute all the time, but boy, do I love
it. Seems like season 2 is just gone off the rails from people's reactions.
Like Taylor is just
is she okay? I'm so worried about
not.
She's not doing well.
No, not at all. But she's out there. Yeah. I don't have any defensible reason why I like it so much, other than it just reminds me of the kind of cruel television that I grew up watching.
It has real Jerry Springer energy.
Jerry Springer, or this. Do you guys remember there was one on another Warner Brothers show, WB Superstar USA, where this came out like after American Idol's first or second season.
Okay.
And the plot of the show was that they were doing American Idol, but they would just advance the worst singers every time and tell them they were really good. And their egos would get fed into it. And it was a truly cruel prank. But, it was the early 2000s. And that's what I enjoy about Real Lives of Mormon Wives. Is just straight up TV producers being like, yeah, do whatever you want, ladies. Like,
and they're all consenting adults. They're all choosing to do this. Mm-hmm. But also, what are you doing?
Yeah, but they're making very bad choices and getting in petty arguments, and I am really, really enjoying it.
I cannot wait to find out where this show goes.
It seems like an obsession. Like, I left for work one day and Steph was watching it, and I walked 10 minutes north and walked in the door at work, and a coworker was on their phone watching it. And I'm like, what am I missing?
Yeah, everyone I've talked about is like, oh, you got to be watching it.
Everyone's obsessed.
It's the fact that the first episode ends with her getting arrested and then a time jump to I'm pregnant. And it's like, okay, like how I'm in.
That's when you're striving. You're like, what is this show going to be? Wow.
Yeah, you had me at I'm arrested, and then again at I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
That's not even the wildest stuff that's going on in this show.
Oh, boy.
It's wild.
Incredible.
Well, thank you so much, Bryn. Where can people find you? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I do have something to plug. My first novel, The Great Lunar Burglary, is about some teenagers in the 1920s who steal the Blue Nose, Canada's most iconic boat.
The one on the dime.
Yeah, and from the town where I grew up, Lunenburg. And this novel drops, as they say, on June 12th, so maybe it's already out. You can get it on the Indigo website. You can get it on my website, brynpottie.com. And any local bookstore will be able to order it for you. So just go in and say, hey, I want this. yeah, it's really a fun book. It's been a real journey to get it out into the world, and I'm very excited about it.
Congratulations. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's huge.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a real struggle, but here it is.
But you did it.
You did it.
Indeed, I did.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, love the things you love and tell everyone about them. Bye. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic, Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, 2, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam.
You did it.
That's only one except 4.
The Phantom Show.